Namaste, Namaskar. This is David Hawthorne at astroview.com. Today is the 26th of August, 2024. So the following is the Vedic Astrology Horoscope reading for the Boeing Starliner crew flight test that was launched on the 5th day of June 2024 at 10:52 a.m. at Cape Canaveral, Florida. That was considered Eastern Daylight Saving Time. Now this video is to illustrate the importance of electing an auspicious time to do something important. This is known as a muhurta, and that is electing a horoscope that will support any particular important event. Most people are not aware that there is a horoscope for every moment of the day. As I'm speaking right now, if a baby was born, there'd be a horoscope for that baby. But there is also a horoscope when you put on a gemstone or a mystical pendant, or you take a wedding vow, or you start a new job or a new business, or you leave for some travel venture, or you launch a space shuttle, or get sworn in as the president. There's a horoscope. So most people are not aware of that, and they do these important events arbitrarily. Basically, they are gambling. So if a horoscope is afflicted, then the child will suffer unless the parents know the planetary remedies for the chart. The gemstones will not work. The marriage will go to divorce. The business will go bankrupt. The space shuttle will blow up. You should see the horoscope for the space shuttle Challenger. A disastrous horoscope, and it goes up in the sky and blows up. So even people who launch these important flights into space should be aware that it's important to also use an astrologer to elect a time that will be safe and favorable and fruitful. So we have done a horoscope here for the moment of the launch, the exact moment, time of the launch. So Wednesday, June 5th, always good to double check your data, 10:52 a.m. So they were going to just spend a week in space, 7-8 days, and then return, and it's run into all kinds of problems. And as of today, now they're saying that they will return the Boeing Starliner to Earth without the astronauts. So they're going to stay on the program that they're on and come back in at the end of February. So they'll fly back with the SpaceX crew mission. And they will attempt to bring back the Starliner in one piece. But we can say quite clearly that this should be seen, can be seen, from the very horoscope. If they had checked with a systems approach to Vedic astrologer, they would see this. They would have known this. Now, Vedic astrology is wonderful. I use a very specific scientific paradigm for reading horoscopes. This is known as the systems approach to Vedic astrology. This was developed in India by Professor V.K. Chowdhury, who also co-authored 16 books with his son, K. Rajesh Chowdhury. Professor Chowdhury did empirical studies on thousands of charts over a 30-year period of time, and he would eliminate any technique that was not replicable or contemporary. We have 800 Vedic astrologers using this paradigm around the world, and if you see any of us, we will all be able to tell you pretty much the same thing I'm telling you today, because these readings are not based on personal preference, intuition, or a hodgepodge of techniques. We know what we are looking for and why we're looking for it. There are some building blocks that other astrologers may not be aware of. For example, one of the most important ones is the rising sign degree. So first off, let's talk about this chart. If you looked east on the horizon at the time of this launch, the fourth sign of the zodiac was ascending or rising at 19 degrees 35 minutes. This ascendant changes about every 2 hours of the day, so there's a possibility of 12 rising signs per a 24-hour period. This was the fourth sign. This is a water sign, and this is a movable sign, Cancer rising sign. Now, there are 30 degrees in every sign or every house, 0 to 30. This 19 degrees is the most effective point of every house. Only systems approach astrologers know this technique. So this most effective point is applicable in every house within a 5-degree orb. So it would start at 14 degrees and go up to 24 degrees. The closer to 19, the more powerful the impact. Now, we do say that for the Cancer rising sign, 5 of the 7 main planets will never cause harm. These 5 planets include Sun, ruling the second house of wealth and status. Moon will never cause harm. It rules the chart itself. Mars will never cause harm. Mars rules the 10th house of karma, career, professional life. Mercury will never cause harm. Mercury rules the 3rd house of self-initiatives and self-efforts, independent entrepreneurial ventures, technology, business, communications, intellectual property. And Venus will never cause harm. Venus rules the 4th house of property and fixed assets and vehicles. It's called conveyances. So that means any kind of vehicle, from a motorcycle to a car to a spaceship. Now, for the Cancer rising sign, we say that 2 other planets will cause trouble from time to time, either in the birth chart or in the transit chart. This includes the 6th house ruler. This is 6th house is Sagittarius, ruled by Guru, by Jupiter. So Jupiter can cause harm, bring 6th house issues into life. And the 8th house ruler, Saturn, can cause harm. Now, most of you watching this video are likely systems approach students, so you already know this knowledge, but I will share a few points with others. There are 12 houses in a horoscope, from the 1st house all the way around to the 12th house. Well, only 9 of these houses are actually favorable houses. 3 houses are not favorable. In any horoscope, the 6th house, the 8th house, and the 12th house are considered Dustan Babas, which means inauspicious houses. Planets going into the 6th, 8th, and 12th become weak unless the planet rules that house. So we're okay here with Saturn, rules Aquarius. Saturn's in Aquarius, that's fine. The rulers of the 6th, 8th, and 12th houses become functional malefic planets, but only if a Mul Trikone sign falls in the 6th, 8th, or 12th. So there's no Mul Trikone sign in the 12th house. Cancer rising sign does not have to worry about the 12th house ruler. But the 6th house contains the multicone sign for Jupiter, and the 8th house contains the multicone sign for Saturn. All Cancer rising sign persons have to be careful about the transit of Jupiter and Saturn at any given time. And nobody should strengthen Rahu and Ketu, the north and south nodes of the moon. These are mathematical ecliptic points in the zodiac. So if they can cause the eclipse of the sun and the moon, they can certainly bring darkness into our lives. We have to watch them. We have to manage them. For those who are not aware of what a multicone sign is, the multicone signs are 1, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, and 11. Aries for Mars, Cancer for the Moon, Leo for the Sun, Virgo for the Mercury, Libra for the Venus, Sagittarius for the Jupiter, and Aquarius for Saturn. Professor Chowdhury said nobody ever came to see him over a 30-year period of time for a non-multicone sign issues. Sage Parashara says grahas rule 2 bhavas. Planets rule 2 houses. Multicone sign takes precedence. I think most people missed the boat on that. They didn't know what that meant. Professor Chowdhury figured it out. So, for example, Jupiter rules Sagittarius and rules Pisces, but Sagittarius takes precedence. If anybody watching this video has an interest in learning systems approach, send me a note. I'm happy to send you study materials. So right away we see a major problem in this chart. The ascendant, the most effective point of every house, is 19 degrees. Well, where are Rahu and Ketu? They're at 19 degrees. That will activate their aspects. All planets cast an aspect opposite where they sit. But some planets have additional aspects. Rahu, Ketu, and Jupiter, they will have an impact 5, 7, and 9 houses from where they sit. So technically, this is a 100% affliction in 6 of the 12 houses in this horoscope. All the even signs are afflicted. That undermines any planet in an even sign. The even signs are 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So the first house of self, third house of self-initiatives, the 5th house of investments, the 7th house of relationships, 9th house of long-distance travel and dharma, and the 11th house of income and gains and friendship. They all have a 100% affliction of Rahu and Ketu. Dark cloud. So this undermines number 4, ruled by the moon. So that weakens the moon. When a planet's house is afflicted, the planet becomes weak. Not only is moon weak because of the Rahu influence into the first house of Cancer, but look at moon's conjunction with Jupiter. Jupiter is the 6th house ruler, a Dustan Bhava. This is a very serious affliction of Jupiter on the moon. Jupiter rules the 6th house, which is mental tension, financial issues, health issues, but it's conflicts and disputes. It's even accidents. So this moon is destroyed. It rules the chart. That's your person's name, fame, health, reputation, and longevity. So serious issues due to health problems. In this case, the health problems of this Starliner. And Jupiter is also only 2 degrees from Mercury. So that causes stress relative to the 3rd house of self-initiatives and communications and technology. Now, if planets are not within 5 degrees of each other, there's no impact. So Jupiter technically does not bother Sun or Venus. It's not within 5 degrees. It is within 5 degrees of Moon and Mercury. Those are both afflicted. Jupiter's fifth aspect is benign in this house. Its seventh aspect is benign in this house. And its ninth aspect is benign in this house. But Jupiter is in a house that is afflicted by this Ketu. This Ketu's ninth aspect. So 5, 7, 9 houses away. So Ketu is afflicting this house, destroys this house. Now Ketu is spirituality, but it's also obstructions and setbacks and inflammations. So it's afflicting this house. It undermines the strength of Jupiter ruling the sixth house. It undermines the strength of Moon ruling the chart. Undermines the strength of Mercury ruling your self-initiatives. It undermines the strength of Sun, which is the second house of wealth and status and continuation of family life. This can cause discontinuation of family life. And Ketu afflicts the house where Venus is sitting, ruling the fourth house of property and vehicles. Conveyances. Not a chance for this mission to be successful or effortless. I do think that Saturn helps to some degree to be in his own sign. That usually can protect the eighth house significations, which would be accidents and death-like experiences. Maybe that's helpful. This house is not afflicted. Saturn throws an aspect 3 houses away. It does not bother Mars. 7 houses away, no problem. And 10 houses away, no problem. But if we add 5 degrees to 19, we got 24. This is 24. So there is some impact of Saturn in the 10th house of karma, the field of action, and some impact of Saturn in the house of wealth, status, and continuation of family life, and some impact in the house of investments. I think one of the reasons they were able to actually launch was because Mars is in his own Multrikon sign of Aries. So Mars technically is a Panch Mahapurush Yoga, one of the 5 great yogas. This is called Ruchak Yoga. So it's very good for courage, energy, engineering. Now we also look at the calendar, the hands on the clock. The Vimshottari Dasha sequence. We can always look at this for the past, present, and future general trends. Now, with systems approach, we only take the Mahadasha, the main period ruler, and the Antardasha, the sub-period ruler. Some astrologers will go 3 levels deep, 4 levels deep, 5 levels deep. But Professor Chowdhury once told me that those astrologers using so many techniques, maybe they'll not just use Vimshottari Dasha sequence, they might use 2 or 3 Dasha systems. They might start counting houses from houses, Bhavat Bhavam. Or they might do a mathematical approach. I think it's called the Ashtaka Varga, the 8 numbers. But my point is, he said that so many techniques are not ideal. Astrologers using so many techniques are on a ring road in Delhi, traveling in circles. They never arrive anywhere. We want to arrive somewhere. So we just take one dasha system and we only use Mahadasha and Antardasha. Mahadasha will give you the general trends of the riverbed of time, and the Antardasha will give you the operating planet. And then we can also overlay the transits of the planets for future events. So we see that this Boeing Starliner was launched during Surya Mahadasha, Sun main period. Sun is in a house under the affliction of Ketu. And a Venus Antardasha subperiod combust Venus in a house under the affliction of Ketu. Now it's interesting, they've made this decision just before August 31st, which in my opinion is very, very wise decision. Because August 31st they go into a Chandra Mahadasha. Moon rules the chart. Moon's house is afflicted by Rahu, unexpected calamities. And Moon is in a house under the affliction of Ketu, and Moon is afflicted by Jupiter. So I would call this a Papakatara Yoga, and the scissors. No help. So they're talking about bringing the space shuttle back, or the Starliner back in September. Not so good, I think. So we can see why it is so important to elect a time when you're going to do something important. Our family learned this lesson the hard way many, many years ago when we had a very rough travel experience. And so we looked at the chart for the time that the airplane took flight, and sure enough, it's all over that chart. So even if you're going to take some travel, take some time to look at a chart and make sure that the chart is relatively free from afflictions. But it's so good to have some good auspicious chart, a good muhurta when doing something important. Now these times, these muhurtas can be few and far between. So you should never call an astrologer and say, I need to do something next week, when can I do that? No. You say, I need to get married next year. When next year would be good. Okay, I hope this reading is helpful, and I do wish the astronauts success and safety. So thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Om Namah Shivaya.